lends itself more to this idea that it might be more cultural than we give it credit for. I think there's just, there's so much good science these days, but there's also so much bad science and explanations about like how we behave. And this is what, and it's like, I'm just not convinced a lot of the time,
Yeah.
based on my own experiences. There's a lot going on, and it's okay not to know. It's like, oh, we see, this is like a Western concept. It's like, we're going to figure out why we're stressed and then we're going to solve it. And it's like, if we figure that out, and maybe we will, but if we figure it out, we're not going to, we don't understand right now what figuring it out looks like. It's like, what's that Einstein quote? Like, you have to elevate your consciousness or whatever to find the solution. It's a
Yeah.
different
You can't use
thing.
the same consciousness that got you in this problem.
Exactly. Right. And so that is like missing for so much of the stuff we're talking about. And, I don't know if we'll talk about like law of attraction stuff, but I'm really into the law of attraction. And that's a huge problem in that field. Probably always has been, but certainly right now, like, where people give these cheap explanations and they think that that's like pointing to what it's going to actually look like. And it's like, no, like, what it looks like is something different, and that's what we can talk about, like this different stuff, but it's not see it, feel it, and become it. If it was that simple, more people would do it. And it's the same for stress reduction and all this, related self-improvement type stuff.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, we definitely want to talk about the law of attraction. Before we do that, in your book, you also talk about vibing. What is vibing, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, vibing out, the joy of not thinking is made up of three general recommendations. The first is the really wacky, playful movement. And then the second one is the out loud self-talk. The third one is vibing out, I call it. And that's just becoming physically really still. Okay. So the three general options are moving around a lot, using your voice a lot, I would say, your out loud voice. And the third one is becoming physically the opposite of those first two, becoming very, very still. I call it vibing out just because you're not judging your thoughts in your head. You're physically relaxing into, you're like lying down or sitting down in a very comfortable position. And by doing that, it's a really simple way to meditate, where you just kind of, oh, everything's here and it's fine. And there's all these thoughts in my head and it doesn't matter. Or like, my leg hurts, it doesn't matter. And I've got a lot of YouTube videos, and, I have a podcast where I go through these type of meditations where it's like basically just about vibing out. Um, but it's a very simple way to meditate, and kind of recognize the power of being present. So I think people like that. And that is the kind of thing, unlike the first two recommendations, that you can make a practice of and decide to do, on a daily basis, or, for 5 minutes in the morning, or, throughout your day for a couple minutes each time, or something like that.
Great, great. Yeah, check out the book. It's a short book, and it's chock full of useful tools that you can use that day if you want to. Read it and then find some solutions your next stressful day at work. So let's talk about the law of attraction in your book. Tell us about the thesis of your book and what you bring to the table on this controversial but popular content or topic.
Sure. Yeah. So the law of attraction for me is something that I didn't get into. I mean, I watched The Secret, right? But beyond that, I did not get into the law of attraction until I was in my mid 30s. So I was already very well versed in the kind of stuff we were just talking about, very familiar with, a lot of the great Eastern and Western mystical traditions. And so I always thought the law of attraction was just this superficial kind of bullshit thing. And, you know, I basically happened upon through Amazon and their incredible algorithm, right? Some really cool law of attraction teachers. Specifically, Neville Goddard was the person who really turned me on to the law of attraction. And I know you've had Mitch Horowitz on the show a couple times, and Mitch is really like still to this day one of the few people who's spoken about Neville and some of these other great new thought, I guess you could call them, teachers from the 20th century and the late 19th century as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a really underappreciated subject because in my opinion, it's a mature approach to the law of attraction. It's, these great teachers from 100 years ago or so, or 50 years ago, are talking about the subject matter of The Secret, but in a much more profound, mature, practical way. And a lot of them make big claims, which, a lot are bullshit in my opinion, but there's also so much good stuff there that, strangely, is not being explored as much as it could be. Even though the law of attraction is more popular than ever, people are still looking at it from this very superficial lens. And if you're into deep spirituality, if you're into Miguel's show, like there's a lot of stuff about the law of attraction that I think would appeal to you that you probably don't know about unless you've kind of gone down the rabbit hole with it. I've gone down the rabbit hole simply because I'm really curious about it. I find it fascinating, and I am still baffled that people like Neville and Emile Coué, who was a great hypnotherapist
Mm-hmm.
in the 1920s, why people like that are not better known today. And so, yeah, I hope that they become better known, and that's in part why I write about it and have a show about it.